26. Oh, you're welcome. My son is in a class that is a lesbian class or something at A&M, and the teacher told them they had to watch the movie Boys Don't Cry.
Oh, yeah.
And so the class, some of the people in the class said it was causing them to have triggers, so they couldn't watch it.
Where's this world coming to?
He said the teacher didn't issue trigger warnings and that the assignment is a must-do assignment, and so they're going to protest by sitting quietly in class. That's not a protest.
That's not a protest at all. What kind of class is this?
It's one class at A&M. I know.
A&M's different from when I was.
I guess. They said the class got up, a bunch of them yelled at the instructor and said they had to get to choose what they want to do and don't do. And he proceeded to show a film and they walked out. JP, this is what JP writes. Funny guy's name is it's a family. So we just go on and on all day.
Oh, that's awesome. It's like, I don't have time to read all this stuff.
Pretty early messages.
Like, actually catch up, okay?
We go, and this goes on forever and ever and ever and ever.
That's awesome.
My daughter's on it, the whole family's every day. We just,
That's really great, though.
Yeah. Apparently they've been planning
That's really fun.
for a long time now.
all day long.
Finally just
Y'all are cute.
decided
I love it.
She said that they usually
I love it because they're constantly communicating with us now.
day by day.
Yeah,
So this time,
it's great.
I said, that sounds like,
Now when the phone beeps at midnight, I don't assume something bad's happened. I assume that they're have something witty to say.
Exactly. That's perfect.
I don't know him that well.
Works too hard.
he does, you know. I keep asking him how I can
I don't know.
Afterwards, I came in and I was like,
more than happy to do it.
Could have been. I don't go to it. We just buy it. Stay warm. We're not.
It's good though.
It's what he likes.
Appreciate what he does, yeah.
is there another eating thing in the spring?
Oh, that's the taste. This is the arts.
Is this one better?
It's supposed to be better. I can't go.
It is impossible.
Okay, I think it's 7:30, so let's call the city council meeting to order here. Mayor Newton is not here, along with Mayor Pro Tem Bobby Lindemuth, so I believe I'm the next in line here, so everybody be patient this evening. But we don't have a long meeting, so I'm sure they're taking bets down here. So I'm going to talk quickly so I can beat Mayor Newton, because he does like to talk a lot. So with that being, let's call the meeting to order, November 5th, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. Okay, let's call, roll call, Councilman Nakamura here. Mayor Pro Tem Lindemuth is absent. He's out of town on a vacation he's had planned for quite a while. Councilmember Wheat.
Here.
Mayor Newton, he is out of town on a vacation he's had planned. I don't think they had him planned that they knew what was happening. So, Councilmember Dotson,
I'm here.
Councilmember Kelly,
Here.
and Councilmember Rigney.
Here.
Okay. This evening, the invocation will be given by Pastor Garrison Posgrove from Compass Christian, and then the Pledge of Allegiance by City Attorney Whit Wyatt. Thank you very much for coming this evening.
I'll be quick as well. Let's pray. Jesus, I ask that you would give these men and women wisdom, Lord, to make decisions that are appropriate and in the best interest of us. I pray that you would give them courage, Lord, to make those decisions even when they might be the only one. And Lord, I pray that you'd protect them. I pray that you protect them, Lord, from temptation to act in ways that would dishonor the people of the city, and most importantly, you. We ask this in your name. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Okay, we'd like to welcome everyone that's here. We have quite a few people here, and welcome everyone that's online. So welcome, and we'll move along to, if you all have anything to say, please put it on a card, one like this, in the back, and get it up here, and we would love to hear from anybody that has anything to say this evening. So they're on the back table, and then just bring them over here to the City Secretary, Christine, who's sitting down at the end. And please, when you're filling out the cards, make sure and indicate which item you would like to speak on. Okay. Now, I think we're going to go into, oh, yeah, there isn't one. The item is on the executive session resolution, which there is not any action coming out of executive session. We meet beforehand, but there was nothing that we need to take action on this evening. So we're going to move on to announcements, proclamations, and presentations. So, first of all, we are going to bring back our popular program that is hashtag Colleyville Gives Back in 2019. This program was started last year. It was very successful, so we're going to bring it back. Businesses received letters last week, and we've already had 5 applications, and with that comes charitable donations. How it works is we offer any of our businesses a $1,000 grant to use on advertising. They have to use it on advertising, and they have to put on their hashtag Colleyville Gives somewhere on their advertising. And if they apply for it, they get $1,000. If they would donate $500 of that to a charity, then we'll give them another $1,000. So if you do the math, it's pretty much that everybody does it, don't they?
Yes, we had
Yeah.
great, we raised $27,000 for charity last year.
$27,000 for charities last year. So it's a great program. So get your application in for that. Go to colleyville.com and you can pull the application up and it'll get turned in. Turn it in. And also, one other thing that we're giving, this is, of course, the holiday season is coming up. It's hard to believe that already. But, and Thanksgiving means giving back each year. So we have got, the city staff are encouraged to donate food and medicine to support Grapevine's program to help all the families in need. And so for this year's challenge, city departments are collecting items until November 8th, which we have 4 days from now. So if you all would like to donate, please contact your favorite city department, or you can drop it off here and noon on November the 8th. So with that, I think Chuck has something to say.
So the community development team was recognized by the Planning Association. The Texas chapter of the American Planning Association has selected the city of Colleyville as a recipient of the Richard R. Lilly FAICP Program for Planning Excellence Award. This award is given to municipalities that have demonstrated planning excellence. The association evaluated cities on the level of training of planning commissioners and professional staff, professional qualifications of the planning staff, breadth and currency of master plan components, and completion of other planning-related projects. Great job, community development.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I'd like to report that the City Hall is getting a new generator to keep the City Hall and library active in case of any kind of electrical emergency. The final installation of that generator will result in loss of electricity to the library on Saturday, November 9th. That is this coming Saturday. The library will be closed that day and reopen normal hours on Tuesday, November 12th. November 11th is, it's called Armistice Day, to what the original name, what is the name?
Veterans. Veterans Day.
What?
Veterans Day.
Veteran, there you go. Veterans Day, and I'm a veteran, there you go. Anyway, one important thing about this generator is that it's the result of a grant that we received. The city had to pay also, but this is another situation where our staff has worked very hard to get grants to add to our taxes. So the grants are out there. Some, if you may not like the government giving away money, but the grants are there and we're applying for them. And the city has saved millions of dollars with these grants. So it's really great, and to have this generator is super.
And recently, Councilmember Nakamura and myself judged the Miss Colleyville and Miss Teen Colleyville pageants. The crowned winners were Miss Mallory Fuller for Miss Colleyville, and Miss Outstanding Teen was crowned Miss Sadie Schiermeyer. Both will appear at an upcoming council meeting and at various events throughout the year, and I'm looking forward to them joining us.
And I've got a couple things to mention. There was an event that we were going to host for the first time in a few weeks, and it was called Art on Main. And unfortunately, we're going to cancel that because the plaza that's right out front that's being finished, the sod is not going to be totally set yet, and we're worried that's going to damage the sod. So we need to wait, and hopefully we will get that event rescheduled because it sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. But we are really looking forward to, on December 6th, the tree lighting out in front of City Hall and the City Plaza, and we should be able to walk on the grass by then, so that'll be good. So it's December 6th from 5 to 8, and let's see. I've got a note here. The City Secretary's Office is accepting donations of gift cards through Friday, November 8th for DISD, so Dallas Independent School District schools, which were destroyed during tornadoes on October 20th. The DISD has stated, we have determined that the most effective way to get support quickly to schools, students, and teachers is to ask the public to consider donating gift cards in $25 to $30 increments to Target, Walmart, Albertsons type places. Any citizens who would like to drop off a gift card may do so at Colleyville City Hall on the 3rd floor. And then the cards will be taken to DISD on behalf of the citizens of Colleyville. So that would be a welcome gift. And last thing, closes on November 9th, is the Colleyville Community Survey is open. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please fill that out. It's the best way for us to learn more about what you want to see in Colleyville, what you're happy with, and what you might like to see changed. So you just go to the webpage and scroll down to the news section and click on the survey.
And if you haven't, please fill that out. We've got about, I believe, what, Adrian, about 800 people that have filled it out so far. And we want to know what everybody has to think. So this is your time to step up, let us know what you're interested in, us as a city looking at bringing into Colleyville. That way you can't complain if you don't fill out a survey, if something's not done that you would like done. If we can hear from you, then we'll know that's what you're interested in. So please, fill that survey out. You've got 5 more days to do it. And we'd like to see another 1,000 at least, wouldn't we? How many did we have last year? Adrienne, do you recall?
Typically, we get around 12 to 1,400, so a couple hundred more would be great.
Oh, let's break that record. Let's get at least.
Love to see that.
Yeah,
500
let's
or
get
600, yeah.
Yeah, at least 600, 700. So get on there right now as you're watching, and you can fill that out. Okay, and with that, is Benny here?
Adrian, come down with you.
Is Benny here? Oh, there he is. Okay. Hi, Benny. Come on down. Adrian. This is Benny, and I don't know if. Hi, Benny. Good to see you again. Yes, come right between us here. That way, we'll keep you in check and make sure you're behaving a little bit. Okay? But we'd like to. Benny's is the business of the month, and if you all haven't been in, they're right up here at 4712 Colleyville Boulevard, which is next to the Sonic, in the strip center next to the Sonic. They came in about, 6 months ago, was it?
We opened in April.
In April. Oh, it's been a little bit longer, 7 months. And they came in, and I've heard nothing but great compliments, and you guys welcome everyone in. You make them feel special. I know you did that when I first came in. for the first time, and we want to thank you for being in Colleyville. Yeah, so they're in Suite 100, so you can't miss them there. They're right on the corner, right next to Sonic. So we're proud to recognize you, and they're open 7 days a week, right, Benny?
7 days a week, breakfast and lunch
Well,
only.
here, why don't you say a few words and tell us all about Benny's and when to come in?
Okay, we open 7 days a week from 7 to 3, Monday through Sunday, only for breakfast and lunch. And we have great selections there. But our main thing is breakfast and lunch. And we welcome everybody to come by and see us, especially our firefighters and officers. We'll give them like 30% off anytime. They're welcome there. And I'm proud to serve Colleyville.
Great.
Chief, get all your guys to come in, both chiefs back there. Adrian, do you have something to say?
We just appreciate your investment here in the Colleyville community. We're so glad you're here. And as Councilmember Nakamura said, we hear nothing but good things about your restaurant. And I know it's a really popular place, particularly on weekend brunch time. And we love to hear about our local businesses succeeding when they come in. And we're glad to support you. And thank you for being here in Colleyville.
Thank you.
Yes, and if there's ever anything we can do, Benny, please just reach out to us. And again, we appreciate you. And congratulations on Business of the Month in October.
You guys, the best I can do is just come over and support. That's it.
There we go. Aaron, are you good? You want to? Come on, Adrian, get close. Okay, thank you. We're staying down here. I think we've got someone else that we want to bring up here. We have got Luke and Philip, and I think they have something to say. Now, which is which? Which one's Luke and which one's Philip? Who's older? Okay. Well, do you have something you want to say? There you go. Come right up here, turn around so everybody can see you.
There's a camera that way, so yeah, there you go.
Stand right here. Stand right here. Oh, my goodness gracious.
There you go.
There you go.
Can you please call Mike Wang, Dustin Drago to the podium? And Chief Miller.
Is Chief Miller in trouble?
No. Come on down.
We have to watch him sometimes. You know that?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Colleyville City Council. My name is Luke Webb, and this is my fraternal twin brother, Philip Webb. We are both 10 years old. We have lived in Colleyville for 8 years. My family loves Colleyville. We are here today to thank all of you and the Colleyville Baseball Association. My brother Philip is in the 5th grade at O.C. Taylor Elementary. Philip has Down syndrome. October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. People with Down syndrome have an extra 21st chromosome. Philip has many friends in our Colleyville community, from his school, neighborhood, and our church, Good Shepherd Catholic Community. On behalf of my family, we would like to thank you for allowing our family to set up Philip's lemonade stand at the Colleyville baseball field. Philip's coach, Dustin Drago, suggested at a Colleyville baseball meeting that he wanted the CBA to help raise money for Philip's lemonade stand. Coach Drago helped launch Philip's lemonade stand to what would become a very successful event. Philip's played in baseball in Colleyville since he was 5 years old. He's loved all his coaches and team members. Philip has a huge fan base. Our family has a lemonade stand in our neighborhood to raise money for the Step Up for Down Syndrome walk. The walk is a fundraiser for the Down Syndrome Partnership of North Texas. My mom serves on the board. The partnership does many things to help build the awareness of Down syndrome, and it has special programs to help people and families in Tarrant County with Down syndrome. We want to thank the City of Colleyville for supporting Philip's Lemonade Stand. We would like to thank the Colleyville Baseball Association for supporting for promoting Phillips Lemonade Stand. Our family would like to thank Mr. Wang, Commissioner for the CBA, and Mr. Rigney, who's not here sadly, I don't think.
Mrs. Rigney is right.
Mrs. Rigney's right there.
That's Mrs. Rigney.
Yeah. For supporting Phillips Lemonade Stand. Thanks to the amazing support of the CBA and the City of Colleyville, we raised $1,771 in 2 hours. We also had a special visit from the Colleyville Fire Department, who gave us a ride in their fire truck. It was pretty cool.
There he is over there.
Chief of the fire department.
Yeah. The Colleyville Police Department came and purchased lemonade. Corporal Patrick Sterrett and Philip are very close friends. Thank you, Adrian Lothry, for helping us schedule our lemonade stand. Thank you again. Philip would like to say thank you. He has brought a few Step Up for Down syndrome shirts and also lemonade from the stand. We look forward to hosting Philip's stand next year at the baseball fields. Thank you again for not only supporting my brother, but also supporting people with Down syndrome. Any questions?
Well done. Well, I must say, I think that lemonade must be really special if it made that much money in 2 hours. So I'm glad you brought us some, Philip. You have something to say? There you go, babe. You got it?
Dad, I am Tammy Hornick, so thank you, my mom, thank you, my cousin, and my baseball coach, women, but the shot! Thank you.
I've been really privileged to get to coach Philip for 2 years now, so he can always be on my team. So,
Wayne, you have anything to say?
Sure. Philip's been with Colleyville baseball for years, and every year he's just one of the best things that's out there. And you know, we love Colleyville for support and everything. Recently, all the improvements to the fields and everything you guys do, just wonderful that we're able to do this for the community, and really happy. And stories like this are just awesome. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for doing the job that you do. I know that's a thankless job, a lot of work, and we appreciate what you guys do. Chief Miller, you have anything to say?
Well, Philip, I know how special your relationship is with Patrick Sterrett, our corporal. He would love to have been here today, but he's not able to make it. But he is passing along his. Yes, he's working. But it was so neat for us to be able to come out and support you. We put it out on all of our social media. We tried to get as many of our officers there, and we tried to notify the community to come out and support you. And so I'm so glad to hear that you raised over $1,000 for that. And is it 2,000? Almost 2,000. Yeah. So great job, and we love you, and we're going to continue to support you. So keep doing a great job.
Thank you, Chief Miller. And I think you have something for everyone. Do you want to go up there and give it to them real quick? Well, go on. Go up there and give them their treats. And thank you, gentlemen, for coming out. And thank you guys for the support. And we'll continue this every year. I think it's a great cause. Okay.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
That's really cool.
Well, now that's the exciting part. Now we have to move on to the boring part of the night, don't we? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right down here.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Make sure you get that. Thank you so much.
Sure the mayor gets
Thank
that.
you.
Oh,
Thanks. Have a great night, guys.
thanks again, guys. So sweet.
It's a soda. Just saying.
Okay. The regular meeting, let's see, item 4, we are going to consent resolution R-19-4433. Thanks again, everyone. We sure appreciate you coming out. All right, a resolution approving city council action under consent items at the regular city council meeting of November 5th, 2019. Whereas city council has taken action on certain items on the agenda under consent items, now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that the agenda decisions approved by city council, action under consent items are as follows, are hereby adopted. Approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting of October 15, 2019, and approval of the sale of abandoned property, and it is so resolved. I think we have a staff presentation.
Yes, Councilmember Nakamura. I'll briefly talk about item B, the sale of abandoned property. This is just a cleanup. Last council meeting, if you remember, the council passed a resolution approving the authorization for staff to sell excess goods that we no longer need, items that the city has in its possession. We failed to put on that list some items that the police department has seized and would like to dispose of. That's high-end appliances for kitchen, so Viking ranges and stoves and things like that. We inadvertently forgot that on the list. So this item is just to clean that up to allow the sale of those items as well.
Okay, and do we know the dates of that?
Yes, the auction will begin November 7th and it will end November 21st. It's an online auction through a company called Renee Bates, and we'll put that link on the city's website.
Okay, so if someone's interested, they can go to the
Yes.
website and pull up the link, and it'll take them over there.
That's correct.
Madam Mayor, just a quick comment. Just to point out, there's a whole assortment of items that'll be on the auction, and so there's good variety, but the things that were being added right now include a Sub-Zero refrigerator, a Viking oven, and various other high-end appliances that were confiscated as part of a police activity, and so they are, I would say, in brand-new condition, and so traditionally these auctions have a lot of things that are declared surplus and may or may not be of any interest, but these items are at least worth looking at, and so please feel free to participate in that auction. We'll have a link on our website.
Right, and the money comes back to the city.
Yes.
So-
Right.
So you're helping your city, you're helping yourself, and helping everybody out there. Does the council have any further discussion on that? It's pretty cut and dry?
I did-
George, don't you have something to
got
say?
Yeah.
I knew it.
What color are they?
You gotta get the list.
Yeah, you gotta get the list, and you gotta go
There'll be a
to
picture
the
on the
website.
website at the auction.
Yeah, I have the list. I just didn't know what color they were. So that's the only question I have.
Well, you can find out and let us know.
Okay.
All stainless, Chief? All
All
stainless.
stainless, oh, the good stuff.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, well, now I would like to open the public hearing. Do we have any cards on that?
No, ma'am.
Nobody out there has anything to say? Okay, so,
Need to open and close.
I did. I already opened it, but I forgot the gavel. Is there anyone out there who would like to speak on this matter? No? Okay, then I will close the public hearing, and a motion's in order.
Right. I move adoption of Resolution R-19-4433.
I'll second.
Okay. You may open the vote and then show us when it's ready. Okay, Resolution R-19-4433 is approved. Okay. Okay, now, we have a lot of first readings this evening, and I'm calling it the Ben Show because Ben will be speaking on all four of the first readings on these ordinances. So this one here is first reading and public hearing on Ordinance 0-19-2100. That is amending the zoning ordinance and the official zoning map of the city of Colleyville, Texas, by changing the zoning on .46 acres being tract 2C03, abstract 206, in the BBB and C Rye survey located at 4917 Colleyville Boulevard, from the CC-1 Village Retail District to the PUDC planned unit development to exceed the sum of $2,000 and providing an effective date. Ben?
All right, thank you. Ben Briner, Director of Community Development. As you stated, this is a request to rezone from our CC1 Village Retail District to our PUDC, Planned Unit Development Commercial District, at 4917 Colleyville Boulevard. Here's an aerial photo of the site. This is the old location of the Sonic restaurant use. It is, as you can see, it is no longer any structures at this location. The pavement is still there, but this would be a complete redevelopment of this site. And it is intended to be used as an enterprise rent-a-car facility, a standalone facility. As I stated, the current zoning is our CC1 Village Retail District. And this zoning district does not permit the automobile rental type use, thus the request to rezone to this PUDC district, which is one of our customizable districts. This is part of the Colleyville Boulevard corridor section, which is where we anticipate most of our commercial, retail, office, restaurant, those types of uses up and down the Colleyville Boulevard corridor. We feel that this use would be compatible within this designation. Here's another angle of the site. Again, it previously was for a Sonic restaurant location, drive-through. They will be looking to completely redevelop this site, so take out all of the existing pavement and then come back in with a new standalone facility. Here is the zoning exhibit, what we anticipate to see coming in. So you see it will have a building kind of in that upper corner with the parking that wraps around the south and the east side. And I'll go through some of the regulations as part of this here in just a minute. Here are some elevations for the building itself. It is, I think it's about 1,600 square feet for the actual building, plus an additional square footage for a wash area, a covered area that they'll use to wash and detail their vehicles. That will be on the back side. It does incorporate a lot of masonry materials in as part of this design. And the little subsets is just to show the location of some of the trees that will be planted or proposed at the site. And just some additional elevations for the other sides of the buildings, of the building. It does have a floor plan, so again, this will be for their rent-a-car use. Customers will be able to come in and take care of the activity to rent the car, and then they will have their inventory on site as well. I do have landscaping plan. We can come back to these as we need to. And then they do have some preliminary drainage already analyzed the site, and they have a plan for handling the drainage. This will have to go through the site plan process if this is approved, the zoning is approved, and we'll get into the technical elements associated with that as part of that approval, but that would be done at a staff level. All right, so this, as I stated, this is a planned unit development district, which is a customizable district. So as I stated before, this use is not allowed in the CC1 district. Generally, what we've done is modeled it after the CC1 district, but then we are proposing that the auto and truck rental use be a permitted use as well. And so basically what that means is that if this gets redeveloped, it would defer essentially back to the CC1 district many years down the line if this use ends up relocating somewhere else. The building design shall be generally consistent with those elevations that you saw previous. The landscaping as well, we will be attaching that landscape plan. Some modifications that they are proposing, primarily it deals with the setbacks. We require a 40-foot setback in the CC1 district in order to accommodate the parking on the south and the east side. They have pushed the building up towards that front corner, which would reduce the setback along Colleyville Boulevard down to 20.71 feet, and then along Old Glade Road down to 15 feet. The Land Development Code does authorize a smaller setback but only when all of the parking can be accommodated at a distance of 40 feet or greater away from the street rights-of-ways. They can't quite meet that with the parking that they want to provide. Therefore, we've added this regulation as part of the PUD ordinance. And then also, we wanted to make it clear that no box trucks, trailers, boats, or commercial vehicles will be rented at this location. So it will just be for passenger vehicles, cars and trucks. And then the parking, they are providing 28 parking spaces per that plan that you saw. We felt that that was important enough to add in to this ordinance. The requirement is much less than that. It's basically one space for every 200 square feet of building. Being that this has inventory, we wanted to make sure that there was sufficient parking for both customers and the inventory, so we felt that it was important enough to add this language in as a regulation as well. We did send our notices out to all properties within 500 feet, as well as homeowners associations within 1,000 feet. We did not receive any responses back one way or the other for this item. Staff does recommend approval. We feel that this is in compliance with the comprehensive plan, Destination Colleyville, and it also does conform with recent development trends on surrounding properties up and down Colleyville Boulevard as well. The Planning and Zoning Commission does also recommend approval. They heard this item at their October 14th meeting and voted 5-0 to recommend approval. And with that, I can answer any questions.
I've got one. So you said there's 28 spots, parking spaces. What's the size of the fleet of their inventory that will be there? How many open spaces will there be?
Yeah, so we talked about that briefly at the Planning and Zoning Commission. I don't know that there was a specific number. I think a lot of that is hard to determine because it fluctuates. I think I'll defer to the applicant to be able to discuss a lot of how that works, how that would work on this individualized site.
I guess my question is more, will it look like a car lot, or how's it gonna, I guess it's gonna be behind the building, but will most of the spaces be inventory?
Is the
Would that be
applicant
fair to
here?
say?
Because
The
I know
applicant
when I
is
read
here.
through
think
here.
they'll be
it
able
would-
to answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, it looked
I'll
like
wait.
they were keeping a lot less inventory than the 28 spaces on a daily basis. So where,
That's right.
where is the applicant?
They're over here in the
Oh, we've
back.
got a whole group of them here.
This is a
Oh, this is
relocation.
everybody.
Yeah, it's a relocation from
From the Whole
Colleyville
Foods.
Downs.
Yeah.
Right now, they're already in Colleyville.
Yeah.
They're, I pass them every day as I work out, and I'm glad I don't hit those guys running back and forth, because they stay very busy over there. So can we get the applicants up here to answer?
Yeah, I think George had.
Go ahead, George.
I have a different question, but you want to do that first?
Well, is it one that the gentlemen need to answer?
I don't know. I'll ask Ben first.
Yeah.
Ben, we have made an important situation of having parking lots interconnected. And in this case, it appears that there will not be an interconnection with the Red Barn lot. Is that correct?
That's right. We did ask that they would reach out to those property owners, and they should be able to answer this as well, but they indicated to me that they were unsuccessful in reaching an agreement with either one, both to the south and to the east.
Is this the
Oh,
owners,
okay.
not the enterprise, the Palio?
Well, well, their group reached out to Red Barn and to the office
Property owners.
The insurance.
adjacent,
The
yeah, the
insurance,
insurance,
yeah.
and they were unsuccessful in getting any arrangement.
Well, can we bring them up and give the presentation?
ahead.
I bet they'll answer all these questions, because it seems like it's in here, and we can ask them.
While they're on their way up, just add additional comment that the applicant's been very responsive along the way through their process. We probably went through 3 or 4 different iterations of their elevations, requesting additional quality elements, masonry, landscaping, and just wanted to share that with the council, that the applicant had been very responsive to wanting to elevate the look of that building, understanding that it's a bit of a difficult site to develop.
Yes, and was the drainage issue, was that addressed also, Adrian?
Yes, I believe all of those issues have been
Okay.
accommodated.
We can ask them.
Well, that's right. Please come up,
Thank you
and if
very
you'll
much.
give your name and address, we'd sure appreciate it.
Sure, my name's Brendan Hollier. I'm with Pallier Partners. I'm at 6342 Lakeshore Drive in Dallas, Texas.
Hi, and my name's Eric Zellis. I'm with Enterprise Holdings, which is the parent company for Enterprise, Alamo, and National Rent-A-Car, and I'm at 1313 Kittery Drive in Plano.
Well, thank you for being in Colleyville and for continuing to be here in Colleyville. We appreciate that, but go right ahead and let us know.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Council, thank you very much for having us tonight. We really appreciate it. And, excuse me, Councilmember Dodson, in honor of Veterans Day coming up, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank
Certainly
you.
Appreciate it. So as many of you may know, we've been working on this project for a while. We put the contract on the site in February and immediately started working with the city. The site is currently owned by Leon Capital, and we've purchased a site from them within the past 12 months. So this will be the second site that we've purchased from them. We immediately started reaching out to the city to better understand what exactly was desired of this site. We felt like it was a high-quality commercial site, and we had our ideas for what the highest and best use would be, but again, wanted the city's input in that. And so I worked with Mr. Duque and Mr. Wood and Ms. Law3 on trying to understand what the city was wanting there, and also knowing with the Highway 26 corridor improvements that are going on, we wanted to make sure that we had the design and aesthetics to really meet your expectations on the improvement of that area. So we spent the first 6 months or so with some marketing and leasing initiatives, knowing that the city was looking for ideally a QSR, quick service restaurant, or coffee type of use for this site. And in the 6 months that we spent working on the site, did not have a lot of success with that. We had a little interest, but when it came down to site planning the site and the minimum size of the site being 0.46 acres, we weren't really able to get many of the footprints that of interested users on there. So that was a big limitation for us. And the few folks that we felt like would be good users here are also already in Colleyville. And so because of cannibalization, we weren't able to get to those uses. So we had interest from Enterprise, and so we came back to the city and said, look, we've got what we believe is a great user, someone that we believe is going to be around for a long time. They've been highly successful, not only as a company, but in Colleyville. Y'all may know that they've been here since 1999, so they've been operating in Colleyville and contributing to the city for 20 years now. And so we asked the city for input on what it would take to get them into a new location, one that they felt like would contribute immensely to greater sales and contributions, of course, and tax dollars to the city. So through that, we designed a building that we thought would be aesthetically pleasing to the city, one that had a site that had great access and circulation throughout. And after we presented that to the city and city staff, got some feedback, they had a few requests, as Adrian had mentioned a little while ago, and so we went back to the drawing board, and we think we've designed a beautiful building. We've added a lot of articulation to the building. We've added more stone and masonry than we initially had. We added additional windows and storefront to the building as well, and we're pleased with the look of the building and think that it'll match well with all the improvements that you guys are making on 21. So with that being said, happy to answer any questions, and again, certainly appreciate the support.
Can you address the parking space
Sure.
question that
Why don't you let me take that one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
Hi, Enterprise really runs two separate kinds
Can you
of
give us your name and address,
Sure.
please, sir? Oh, we
I
already
did- I
did.
did
That's
already.
right, you did.
Enterprise really runs a couple of different types of business. As I'm not sure if you know, we own Alamo and National Rent-A-Car, so we have two basic different models. One is the airport model, and those locations operate solely at DFW and Love Field. And then the other model is the Enterprise Home City model, and that's what we've been running here in Colleyville Down since 1999. One of the things that is really appealing to us about this site is in some of the strip center locations, we have difficulty being seen and noticed. And when we talked to the folks in the Planning and Zoning Commission, only one of them was aware we had been here as long as we have been just because of that. So the appeal is being able to come out and be on the main street, if you would. And the other appeal is we currently do not have a wash facility in our location. We have to wash our cars off-site, and that can be problematic in terms of turning inventory around quickly so we can process customers in a timely fashion. This business runs what we call very high utilization and low margins. So the cars at the airport generally cost a lot more to rent. We rent a lot of cars to people that are involved in an accident. We're billing their insurance company directly, or they're replacing their vehicle. And while we'll rent to anyone for any reason, that's the majority of our business. And it really allows us to run at a higher utilization. I oversee real estate for about 200 locations in the DFW area. And one of the things that we also do is we run several teams of drivers that do nothing but drive around in minivans with enterprise decals on them and move inventory back and forth between our branch locations every day to maximize utilization. So to answer your question, it's very difficult to put a target number on how many cars we have in our fleet, as that changes daily. But if somebody has more than 10 cars on their lot in inventory and they don't have reservations for them, there's a pretty good chance that another branch manager is looking at their screen and there's a truckload of drivers on their way over to get them. So that really is how our business model works. And we really are at our best when we keep our inventory busy. If you see cars on the lot, they're costing us money and not making money.
So you don't foresee all those 28 spaces being filled
No,
constantly?
if we have a day where we're getting a lot of returns, there's a van on the way to move the cars
So
on.
they turn over so quickly that, okay.
Yes, and a lot of the replacement rentals go out on Monday and come back on Friday, and then we rent a lot of weekend rentals. So a lot of times those 2 days, Monday or Friday, are turnaround days. So a car will come in, it'll get turned around, cleaned, prepared, and then go right back out to another customer who wants to rent it for the weekend. It'll come back on Monday morning, get cleaned, turn around, and rent to somebody whose car is going in the shop. So there's a lot of that going on as well.
Okay.
I've rented cars at this particular location, the Colleyville location, multiple times, and every time they were down to a small number of vehicles at the time.
Yeah, I agree. I've had the same experience. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad
It's a
everybody's.
good problem, yeah.
Good problem to have. Did that answer your question?
Anything else
Cass?
operationally I can help you with?
Yeah, I had the question about connecting to the Red Barn lot.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we did reach out to the owners of the Red Barn lot. It's been a desire of the city, as we understand it, for that lot to be redeveloped at some point, or at least have common ownership so that there's better access through those sites, as you're indicating there. We reached out to them. They did not have an interest in selling. We've reached out a couple times. As you may know, they don't have many parking stalls there as well. And so by adding that access through that site, it would significantly cut into their parking, which I don't know that it would be advantageous for their use or really for enterprise there. But if it were, and we've expressed an interest in that, if it was something that they were interested in, we could certainly pursue it, yeah.
Yeah, I think what we were concerned in, just in general, as you can imagine, if one entrance gets blocked, in your case, you have two entrances, but for them, they only have one entrance. So if something happened, they couldn't use that entrance, then it would be hard for cars to get into their lot.
Yep.
So that's my concern. We try to do that across our, commercial areas, so that you can go from one to the other without actually having to get out on the street. And also, because we're putting medians in now, you can't turn everywhere.
Yep.
And so that's a big issue of how do you get there without having to go down and, do a U and then come back.
Yep.
Councilmember Dodson, what we could do is, if you don't have any objection, would you then agree to adding an easement to the
South side?
Yeah, the southwest 3 spots, and so that there's not any strip of land that would prevent connection, you could just simply overlay an easement as part of your plat, and then that way, if there ever was an opportunity, either through redevelopment or changes on that property to the south, we then could, at their cost, of course, provide that connection.
Of course, yeah. From a landlord perspective, I don't have an issue with that operationally. Yep.
Yeah, I just think it's important.
It's easier for us to access in and out as well. So.
Yeah, I think both parties would benefit from it if it were there in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ben, then you'll make that change then for the final?
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Okay,
And
thank
then the other concern I have is drainage on the lot, because it's quite sloped.
It is.
I park there often to go to the Red Barn.
I've noticed you're one of the
That's right.
many.
Yeah, you can see my car there pretty often. So I do know how to get there from the old Glade Road. and I know, I think I saw a collection sewer. Is that on the plat, Ben? Is there a connection sewer, a drainage sewer
drainage plan showed-
towards the back,
Yeah, it's on the back of the property, I believe.
back of the property, back towards the entrance,
I believe that's
Off-
right. I can't, I think,
right there,
Yeah.
on the right,
yeah, I think it takes it up to Old Glade Road and then it gets in
gets
to
into.
Colleyville Boulevard somehow from there.
Okay. So it doesn't drain all the way to the, well,
Oh,
you
you know
said
what,
you'll-
you're right. I think there is, it might go to the east because I forgot there is that
It
creek.
appears to drain to the northeast corner of the project.
Yeah. And then I
Okay.
think from there it continues east because I think there's a
Right.
creek system over that way.
okay, yeah, there's a creek, yeah, down that way.
And just a
Okay.
clarification, that drainage is fairly consistent with what's there now. There's slight deviations, but the drainage pattern, if you will, is not being altered dramatically. It still drains to the same northeast corner.
So there was never a problem with drainage there before?
Not that I'm
Not
aware
that
of,
I
but
know
we'll
of.
look at that as part of the ultimate review. They'll have to provide much greater detail than this. This
Yeah,
is
the
just a
drainage.
concept.
Because we all know drainage in Colleyville, we have to watch it very closely.
They've
And I'm
got
sure there
creek
will
work.
have to be some type of detention so that it doesn't overwhelm the system further east. But yeah, all the details will be worked out during the site plan process.
Well, and there's a curbed parking lot, so that right there adds to the containment and the direction.
You could put it, yeah, curbs to keep it in,
So that'll contain your drainage and direct it accordingly.
okay.
And by the way that the site overlays on the aerial, you can see that we do have more pervious area shown on our site plan than seems to currently exist today with all the concrete.
All the area to the north and west
Yes, sir.
it'll be landscaped, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Yeah,
That translates to he doesn't want to do any detention. But
Yeah.
there can be detention in pipe
Yeah.
underground too. It doesn't have to be.
yeah, the other just minor question is visibility. You're going 20 feet towards the street, but I guess that does give the 25-foot view triangle. Basically, it's very close if it isn't.
Yes.
Yes,
It
so
probably
it does, it's a 25-foot visibility triangle.
Right.
So yeah, it gets probably right up to it, but it is outside of that visibility triangle.
I'm just, guessing, but it looks
Also-
like it probably does.
Well, also the angle of the road dramatically increases that visibility, so.
Yeah.
If the road had been more perpendicular, it would have been a bigger problem. It would have been more of a problem, not a problem per se, but the angle of the road actually benefits that as well.
Yeah, so you can, because you'll be in the right lane,
Yes.
you can see that way.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good. That answers my questions. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Anybody else
I'm
have
good.
questions?
Yeah, I'm good.
Will the stone be roughly the color that you showed, or is that to be determined?
Yes, a tan color.
Beige.
That's to be determined, and we're welcoming input by the city on that. Yeah.
No
We're
purples
flexible.
or
We-
bright
we've,
pinks, right?
We've built a very similar building in Saxon and in Cedar Hill, and we're very flexible with the stone. We just prefer the stone look. We think it looks very sharp.
Yep.
But no purple or pink,
No
correct?
purple, no pink, no green, just outside.
You gotta have the green for your,
Start east.
Oh, yeah,
your logo.
for the logo. Well, that's a
Great.
pretty color that's on there, actually, but,
It looks good. We're proud of it.
It does.
well,
Well, again, thank you very much.
thank you, gentlemen, for coming in first reading, so of course we'll have the second and vote on it next time.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, wait a minute, I'm going to open the public hearing. Do we have any cards? Oh, forgot I have this gavel. Miss Kathy Hadley. And I think Kathy knows how to do this, don't you, Kathy?
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, represent myself. It'll be nice to have something on that piece of land. What I do like is that it will not be competition for Red Barn Barbecue. I do like that. However, my concern is, I want to know financially the benefits of having a car rental place. How will the financially benefit Colleyville? Is that one of the best choices we can make for that property? For Colleyville. I have rented a car before, and I don't know, maybe it's the same little location they already have in that shopping strip across from Glade. So I guess they're moving from that building, that portion of the shopping strip into a new building? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I have rented a car from them before, but I just want to know, it's good to have somebody there on that property. Like I said, it's not gonna be a direct competition for Red Barn Barbecue. I like that. But will the city of Colleyville benefit financially from this? You know, better than it being vacant, but is that the best choice we can make? Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. So any other cards?
No.
No other cards, okay. The public hearing is closed. I think that to address that, I believe there's sales tax on the car rentals that are going out. So yes, we will have sales tax, and that will free up the building over there for somebody else to go into it. So I do see that as a benefit to Colleyville.
And there'll be a substantial change in property tax with the new building as well.
With the new building, the property taxes will, I hate
Well,
to say
and-
property taxes go up, but those guys know, I don't have to tell them. So the property taxes will go up there, and we'll bring another business in to fill that
Well,
spot.
And as he mentioned, the visibility to you being there will be significantly greater. There's no question about that. Yeah. I'm one of the ones that know that you're there already. I've been here for 32 years, so but we're glad to have you here and glad to have you with a larger presence.
I was going to say, I can't help but add that it's nice to see the success of a Colleyville business and have them need to grow because they're doing so well.
Sure.
Absolutely.
That's great.
So we appreciate that. Okay, so that's the first reading, therefore no action will be taken, and it'll be on the agenda, second reading and voting next time. Thank you, everyone. All righty, let's move on to, okay, Ben's back up. First reading, ordinance 0-19-2101, amending the zoning ordinance and the official zoning map of the city of Colleyville, Texas, by changing the zoning on .51 acres, being Lot 2, Block 1 of the Hodgkiss Place Second Edition, located at 2608 Highland Meadow Drive, by authorizing a special use permit for an 8-foot cedar privacy fence along the corner street side property line and within the street side yard, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000, and providing an effective date. Ben, can you fill us in?
Yep, thank you. So this is a request for a special use permit to allow for a fence to extend into the required street side yard. And this is at 2608 Highland Meadow Drive. Here's an aerial photo of the site. It is at the corner of Highland Meadow Drive and Pool Road. The current zoning is R20, Single Family Residential District. And there is a home that is close to being completed at this location. The future land use map designation is for residential, so it complies with that designation. This is a pictometry photo from earlier this year. You can see the house under construction there. So they are asking for a special use permit to allow for a solid wood fence to encroach into this required side yards area. And so the original request was for it to be along the property line here adjacent to Pool Road. The Planning and Zoning Commission, when they considered this, they do make a recommendation that there be a 5-foot setback from the property line. And so I have some exhibits to show what we're talking about. So this is the original request, that it would be located along the property line. So this area essentially that I've highlighted in red would be what was originally requested and under consideration as part of the special use permit. So the Planning and Zoning Commission, when they heard this item, there were a few concerns based on letters that were provided, as well as a couple of people that spoke about the visibility north on Pool Road. I think one of the major concerns was the opaqueness. So the solid fence might inhibit the view. And so they weren't necessarily opposed with a fence in this general area, just that it was opaque. As part of the furthering of the conversation, a suggestion was to have that 5-foot setback, which would allow for a greater visibility along Pool Road. And that is what the Planning and Zoning Commission is recommending. And so this is, I've modified the exhibit to identify what their recommendation is. So it'll be an additional 5 feet off of the property line into the property. A little bit more background. So this property was platted a couple years ago. And so this, as part of that process, we did acquire some additional right-of-way. I think the previous situation was that the home that existed there had a solid wood fence that was located much closer to the street than what we see, what is being proposed today. Obviously, with the redevelopment, they took that fence down, and so I think the main concern was not to have that same situation come back. And so having this, both with the right-of-way dedication that was acquired, as well as this 5-foot setback, it should alleviate any of those visibility concerns.
Ben, real quick, between the previous fence and the current development, was the replatting and the right-of-way dedicated at that time?
That's right.
So that's a major factor in why it's already being pushed back 7.5 feet further than it would have been otherwise, in addition to the 5 feet talked about, so.
That's correct.
Talk about that in a minute, okay.
Right. Okay, go ahead, Ben.
So the applicant has provided a few photos. So the first one on the left, that's from the corner looking south. You can see what is a perimeter subdivision fence there along the property for that neighborhood there. The middle photo is what is being proposed, so it is a solid wood fence. And then the right photo is looking north along Pool Road. And so there is an existing wrought iron fence on that adjacent property. So the original request would have, I don't know if it would have exactly aligned with that fence, but it would have been close. And so with the recommendation, it'll be pushed over 5 foot to the left side of that.
Which one are you, go back to that one again, Ben. You're talking about on the north of the property there.
Yeah,
Right.
that right photo.
Yeah.
It actually will, right, it actually
Yeah.
will be a couple feet back from that,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
without the additional 5 feet.
One thing to notice is to the south, the first picture on the left, actually has a sign there for the development, Highland Meadows, right? And landscape and so forth, so it does cut back pretty significantly. On the other side, there's no cutback like that.
But it's going to be further back than
Oh,
that
no.
wall, because that's right up on the property line there.
Yeah, that wall is, yes. No, I know. I'm
No, I'm
saying,
not talking about the wall that has the neighborhood sign. I'm talking about the wall down the sidewalk.
I know that. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying there's a wider view on that side.
Right, so there's not,
But-
you're talking about for vision?
Yeah, but having this back, it does look like that it'll provide a clear view if you're on the right lane going east
Wait a minute, if you're out
and
on-
looking north.
If you're in the right lane out on Pool, you're talking about? Where are you talking?
No, if you're on the right lane in Highland Meadow,
Okay,
looking to turn north, or turn
Okay,
either way.
left
To
to
see the
turn.
cars coming.
Right.
Is the point.
Yeah.
It looks like it does provide a much wider view because it's not right out on the sidewalk.
That's right.
And just to comment, Councilmember Dotson, and what I was speaking of earlier, since the last fence was there, a couple of things have changed. One is the fact that additional right-of-way was dedicated by that lot.
Yes.
So the right-of-way is further back away from the sidewalk, and now the additional 5 feet talked about. So that would result in literally 15 feet from the back of the sidewalk for the new fence placement if it was approved as we're talking about. Even if it was on the property line, it would be about 10 feet back from the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And that's dramatically different than the other side because of that change in dedication that has occurred since that property has now been replatted.
Yes. Yeah,
So you're right, that makes a big difference.
it makes sense.
right.
It does push it way back.
It
I like
pushes it back enough. So compare it to, look at the south property, on the left here.
Mhm.
So it'll sit it back probably, is it as far as those, what do you call those, pillars, not pillars?
Yeah, I would say the original lot line is on the right side of the pillar, that far back. It's really 10 feet, approximately 10 feet. And then now there's an additional 5 feet being added because of the request or the stipulation recommended by P&Z. And so that would almost take it to the gentleman on the left,
Right.
the little pillar between him and the other gentleman.
Right. And I think that gives people a good visual to see, because you can say the numbers and
Yeah, they don't have to,
visualize.
they don't have to pull into the crosswalk. See,
Right.
the crosswalk.
Because it's going to sit it's actually about to the line of the crosswalk.
I think it is, well,
Right, almost on
it
it.
may even be on the stop line, which is.
The stop
which is
line?
A few feet back.
Oh.
4 or 5 feet back,
Oh, okay.
which is where it should be. You don't want to have to pull into the crosswalk.
Crosswalk in
be
order
able
to see.
The only thing I would ask is between now and the next meeting is that you get a copy of the plat from the homeowner that actually shows that in detail. They provided an overlay with their floor plan, and I think that's on their plat, which does show the sidewalk, but an original copy of the plat would show us clearly that the sidewalk is there and give us a document that is a little more scalable.
Right.
But I think that, I'm confident that everything is as we think it is, but their plat would show us that.
Okay.
It would also show us that manhole that's on the back of the property. That would give us also another marker to identify the depth. In the far northeast corner of the parcel, it looks like a sanitary sewer manhole.
Okay.
And there's also a hydrant that's on the backside of the sidewalk on Pool. And both of those would probably be identified on their plat
Okay.
and give you good indicators to measure off of.
Sure, okay.
Right now, there is a cedar fence on the north end of the property. Is that all the way around already, or?
No, it's
or
not.
just-
No, it's a steel fence.
Yeah, that one's not there.
Oh, I know from the picture, but I've seen, there's a fence.
No,
I don't think there is
No,
anything
there's not
there,
now.
because I went by there.
Not anymore.
there used to be,
Was
There
one.
used to be
there
one.
used to be a wooden fence
And
where they're gonna put theirs.
there was a wooden fence up against this wrought iron?
No, well, yeah, the wooden fence was out along by the sidewalk.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
pretty close to the sidewalk.
I think I have an answer for that. So they have a pool currently, and in order to use that pool, you have to have security fencing. So I think that's what you saw. So it's much further into the property,
Oh, okay.
or at least it should be,
Well, I
to
can't
provide
remember,
security for the pool.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it went all the way around. I just noticed because it's up against the Putnam's property that there
Yeah,
was a
so it
solid-
could go back that far to touch that property line, but it should be set back sufficiently from Pool Road.
So it doesn't extend as far out as this picture, or it does?
So the middle picture is just a sample of what the fence will look like. It's not from this property.
I'm just
An
looking at the
8-foot
existing
fence.
area. It's going to be back a little bit?
The proposed one will be back
Okay,
further
that's what
from
I was
the wrought iron
asking. Okay.
fence. Yes.
There is no, to answer your question, there is no existing wood fence that's anywhere near the right-of-way.
No.
Right.
Okay.
It's pushed further into the property to provide security for the pool.
By the
Right.
neighbor.
I don't think you even notice it if you're,
Well, it's on this side, but it's pushed up against the house, or it should be.
Okay, thank you.
We did send our notices out. We did receive a couple letters that were provided in your packet based on some of the objections, mainly with the visibility. We think that the 5-foot setback should address that. Staff recommended denial. It did not meet the technical requirements of the Land Development Code, but the Planning and Zoning Commission does make a recommendation with that 5-foot setback inside the property.
So does staff change the recommendation with that change or no?
We are comfortable with that recommendation.
okay.
And then, obviously, you'll clarify with the property owner that all of the things we've assumed in this conversation are correct.
That's right.
And you'll
I'll try and get us, huh?
You'll have those at the next
Yes,
meeting.
we should.
Okay.
Okay.
And the applicant is here,
Okay.
if you had any questions for him.
Where is the applicant? Oh, hi. Welcome to Colleyville. Would you like to say anything, sir? Come up and give us your name and address, please.
Good evening, appreciate your time. I'm Jacob Stone, 2608 Highland Meadows Drive, Colleyville, Texas. I think that there was a lot of negative kind of feedback, both people calling and letters. And so, but I did come to a realization that it was because of people who had lived there for a while. They had experienced the fence in the past that was on the sidewalk essentially. And so they remembered having to stick out their neck, taking a left. And I'll add, obviously I have to pull out of that neighborhood every day with my kid and my wife, and I as well do not want to be safe or unsafe for an additional 15 feet. But if it's not affecting anyone, I think you guys can understand. I'd like to have the additional square footage in our backyard.
Just to clarify, all that's in question is 5 feet, because the first 10 feet is already outside your property anyway.
Correct.
And so that's a given. So really, the only part that's at issue here is the 5 feet. So your property line, what happened is it changed because of dedication or giving to the city of road right-of-way as part of the platting. And so the only part of your property that would be at risk, if you would count it as such, is that 5 feet. The area next to the sidewalk that's Parkway is owned by the city. It's part of the right-of-way.
Right, and I think the issue was the current code stating that, we were 2/3 of our front setback.
Sure.
So it'd be, 40 feet, I think is what we ended up. So that would put it right up against our house, which would obviously be
Well,
not
no,
ideal.
it would have been 20 feet.
Well, that's what he's
I'm
saying
hearing
it
different,
would
yeah.
have
I think it would have been 20 feet, is that right? Or would have been 40?
been. I think was it,
So there is when this came in for the permit, it was under the rules just before
the
we
old
made the
one,
last
okay.
changes. There is a 2/3 allowance, but in this case, because the adjacent property is facing towards pool, I've highlighted this, it should be the same setback as that adjoining lot, which is a 40-foot setback. With the modification, under the current regulations, it says no closer than the required setback of
Which is
this
40 feet.
subject property, which is the 30 feet.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
okay,
If I can I just show this photo real quick? And I put this
sure.
over here. I think
Do you have it?
it's right here.
Okay.
That's why 40 is 40 foot setback.
Just think this helps bring some clarity here. Well, I'm on the front portion of the second line of the crosswalk, so I'm almost into the crosswalk. And
This is before you started building, correct?
we're in the home and it's done, and
Right.
this is not before we started building. I was in it already when I took this picture, because you can see the zoning property sign there next to the tree.
Right.
So you can see here, even from that, that basically where that sign is where our neighbor's fence is wrought iron, a little to the right. But you can see that it doesn't have a major effect on the view of pool, or an effect, in my opinion, at all, really. So
you're saying where the zoning sign is approximately where it's going to be?
no, I propose 5 feet further back.
Oh, 5 feet
from
further
that.
back from the sign.
Basically on the other side of that tree.
Yeah.
Is where it'll be, which will provide, more than enough room for the sightline in my
It's
opinion.
actually the tree on the left, it's almost like 2 feet to the right of that tree.
Right.
This one here?
Yes. No, the one to the left. Next tree over. That
Oh.
one. It's almost about roughly 2 feet to the right of that, or east of that.
Right here.
Yeah.
Switch it.
This is all scaling.
Well,
up.
thanks for bringing that, because
Yeah.
that really lets you see what it is.
Yes, and then
That's a
obviously
lot of space there.
Correct, and the fence doesn't come to the front of the property either, so, it has a
Right.
clear view of a pool even at the corner, so.
Well, and I think that will because we did get a couple of
Yeah, of
letters from people that were concerned, and it sounds like some other people
Yeah.
have addressed their concerns with you also. So I think that should make everybody feel a lot better, because there's a lot more space there than you think there is.
Correct, and I did have the HOA, after the meeting that came and spoke, thank me and tell me that they felt it was a good
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
settlement, so.
Good.
And your house is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you,
is,
I
it
appreciate
is.
it.
Absolutely beautiful.
Gotta give a shout out to my wife for that, hopefully she.
Well, go home and tell her we said it's beautiful.
Thank
You
you.
did a good job.
Yeah. Well, thank
Okay,
you very much.
Anybody have any other
Thanks for bringing
questions
it
for him? Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks, because this is a first reading also.
Thank you.
So no other discussion?
Did you open the public hearing?
Oh, I did not open the public hearing. Public hearing. Any cards?
No, I did not.
Oh, no cards on this? Close the public hearing, and since this is the first reading, therefore, there's no action to be taken until 2 weeks. Okay, now we're, the Ben show, here we go. Let me get there, okay. First reading and public hearing of ordinance 0-19-2102, amending the zoning ordinance and the official zoning map of the city of Colleyville, Texas, by changing the zoning on 1.378 acres of Lot 1, Block 1, in the Applebee's Edition, located at 5150 Colleyville Boulevard, from the CC-1 Village Retail District to the PUDC Planned Unit Development, Commercial Zoning District, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 and providing an effective date. Ben?
All right, thank you. So this is also a request to rezone from our CC1 Village Retail to PUDC, Planned Unit Development Commercial District, at 5150 Colleyville Boulevard. This is specific to a proposed Chick-fil-A restaurant at this location. Here's an aerial map of the property. This is the old location of the Londoner, which was an Applebee's previous to that. And so they're looking to completely redevelop this property to construct a new Chick-fil-A restaurant here. It is currently zoned CC1 Village Retail, and this district does not allow for restaurants that include a drive-through component to it. The CC2 district does authorize that use, and that the reason we didn't go with that zoning is because there's a couple regulations that they're proposing to modify, which I'll outline here in just a little bit with the PUD regulations. It is part of the Colleyville corridor, Boulevard corridor, which again is where we anticipate our retail, restaurant, and office type uses. Just another view of the site. So again, this building and most of the parking will be removed, and then it'll be redeveloped, proposed to be redeveloped. And here's the proposed site plan. This is the site plan that was submitted and presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. It does identify a double drive-through there on the south side, and then that wraps around on the east. No, I'm sorry, it's on the
north.
east side,
East
where
side
the
to the
drive-through
north.
lanes are, and it wraps around on the north, and then the exit is on the west. So that is a separated drive-through from the rest of the customer base, so all the parking spaces, as you can see, are separated from that, so there's not a lot of mixing there. As part of the review at the Planning and Zoning Commission, they did ask that they revise their plan to shift that driveway along Pleasant Run to the south or closer to 26 to align with the Chase Bank Drive there on the other side of Pleasant Run. And so they have done this. So this is the revised plan. We took a look at it, both community development as well as our Public Works Engineer's Office. Our engineers have stated that this is not in compliance with our spacing standards. And in looking at it, you can see it kind of creates some confusion within the traffic flow of the parking area. There's kind of that large area with maybe a small median in the middle. It's almost like a mini roundabout. So it doesn't really, in our eyes, accommodate the traffic, internal traffic. Plus with the proximity to Colleyville Boulevard, it's too close.
I was going to say there won't be a queue, hardly any room for a queue to build up there.
Well, it would likely require a variance from our requirement for a curb cut from an intersection.
That's right.
Not far enough back.
Yeah, it's not further enough away from Colleyville Boulevard.
Right, that's my yeah.
Can you go back to the other?
My reaction is also your limited visibility from the cars coming down from the north.
That's right.
On Pleasant Run.
And I will also state that this is the existing driveway location as well.
Right.
So they've just design their site to reuse that existing location.
And and the reason that's important is without having new curb cuts, then those curb cuts are existing and thus existing non-conforming, I guess, could be argued in some cases. But the new curb cut then would be held to a full new design standard.
That's right. And so I guess the takeaway on that is that the shifting of the driveway down to the south is not acceptable to staff.
Yeah.
Where do they plan to have people queue when the drive line is really long?
So you can see that
you
it's a
have-
double row of, for the ordering.
Yes.
It's 2 rows side by side.
You can't,
So
Do
you
you have
can't see
another
it
picture?
very
You
well
can't
on
see
this
it on
map.
here. Is
Is
there
there
another
better?
one that you can go
This
to,
one,
Ben?
this one might be a
That's
little easier.
better.
That's
Yeah,
much
you can
better.
see it.
Yeah. So you have 2 rows to where you can order, take your order, get your order taken, and then after it makes that turn to the west, so on the north part, it does shift that back down to a single lane. They'll be able to talk to their operations.
That's fine. It was more of a curiosity because we've all been in a very long Chick-fil-A line before,
And-
so.
Which is a great thing.
So from the window where you receive your order, I think we counted, including the double row, you can get 27 vehicles.
Okay.
But they're not gonna queue up on 26. That's what I'm asking.
Well,
We're
I
gonna
mean,
have-
if there's.
It's
What are we gonna
designed,
Well, they're
well, if you go back
That's
to,
what
it's
I'm
designed to actually curl around the parking lot. If you go back,
That's what I wanna know.
if you notice on the bottom, when the queue comes around, it comes back
That's
and then
what I
goes
wanna
all the way out and around.
That's right.
Okay,
And so
through the
that's one of
parking
the-
lot there.
One of the
They
challenges.
can go
of the-
across the driveway into that
into that-
southernmost portion of the parking. Is that what
Parking
you're
area,
we're
yes.
pointing at?
Where the new driveway was gonna
Right
be,
through
and that's
here.
a queue
Yeah,
area.
that's
The
right.
queue's all the way back
Okay,
then and
that's
curls
what
around.
that's what I was thinking it was gonna be, but
Yeah.
we can clarify
Yep.
that.
no, that's-
Do we have the Chick-fil-A people here?
They are here. Let me go through a few more slides. and
Sure,
then-
I was just wondering
okay.
if they were, I assume they would be here.
Yes. So here's the proposed building. It's not really showing up, but the darker color is a brick.
Oh, okay. I had trouble trying to figure that out. It looks,
Yeah, for
looks
some
to me
reason,
like,
it's-
looks to me like
Stucco.
an army barracks. I
Yeah,
hate to
it
say
kind of
that.
looked like stucco.
It looks like
Yeah.
olive green.
for some reason, it's not showing up, but it is a
Okay.
brick building.
Yeah, you have a later picture that's much, this
Yeah.
looks
So
much.
these are the 3D renderings of the
Yeah.
building. We do have a landscape plan that we can come back to if we need to. And they do have preliminary drainage and utilities identified. They do have a photometric plan. I just received this yesterday, so it's not in your packet, but they are aware of our requirements of no spillover onto especially adjacent residential properties. We do have a requirement also that all lights must be shielded to avoid glare and directly shining onto adjacent properties as well, which they will have to comply with. As far as the ordinance itself and the language, so again, the CC1 will be the base district, but then also adding the restaurant with drive-through use as a permitted use.
Ben, can I ask you a question about lighting again real quickly?
Okay.
While I'm thinking about it? So the type of lights that they're going to put in, there's no illumination off of site, isn't that correct?
That's right. That is our requirement.
And they'll be pointing down.
That's right. Most of them come out 90 degrees from the pole, and it's shielded on all sides so that the only way for the light to go is straight down.
Straight down,
Yeah.
okay,
Typically.
so it won't be in anybody's
Yeah.
Right.
eyes,
On
property.
the building itself, the wall packs and other lights, they just have to have an appropriate shield as well to make sure that it points down.
Okay,
Maybe at a small enough angle so that it just doesn't go off their property.
yeah, I just want to make sure that people out there listening that are sitting back in here, that might be concerned of that.
Yeah.
That they
Yeah,
understand.
that's been our standard for several years now.
Right, but they don't know that, so I wanted to make sure they knew that.
Okay, great. As far as the building design, must be generally consistent with the exhibits that you saw previous. As far as the landscaping, there is a 20-foot landscape requirement along Colleyville Boulevard. There's one portion which is part of the southern parking area where they don't quite meet that. And that would be reduced down to 10.5 feet, but only along those 6 spaces there in the southernmost portion. Otherwise, must be as generally depicted in the exhibit.
And Ben, in that section, there's actually a hedge line as well, so there's landscaping in it.
Not on that side.
You don't have it in that 10 feet? I thought I saw it on the landscape plan.
Well,
Maybe.
maybe they are showing something. No, not on that part.
Sure.
So again, it's.
That's the ones directly adjacent to the Colleyville entrance, right? Colleyville.
That's right.
Yeah, over here on.
This is the,
Yeah,
Right.
between the entrance and Pleasant Run, where it
Southeast,
meets.
go to the
southeast
next page
corner.
on the landscape plan. Do you have the next page?
I
One that
just have
shows
this
the
one.
beds and everything? I believe there's beds there because, well, not beds, I believe there's a hedge line there because on the corner there's beds as well.
Oh, okay. They're saying,
So,
yes, there is a hedge
The
line.
point I'm bringing up is that you are deviating from the traditional depth, but it's not just gonna be grass. They actually have done a nice job in creating a nice hedge line there that looks
I'll make
nice.
sure I get the right plan in.
That's okay, this is the first page is the trees. I think
Sure.
the second one has the detail.
Okay. As far as under other, in lieu of a solid 30-inch wall along Pleasant Run, they're proposing a live screening. They are prepared to discuss that with you tonight, but that is what their desire is.
Okay.
And then for parking, based on the requirement, it is 1 space for every 100 square feet of building space. This would require 51 spaces under our regulations. They can't quite meet that. They are proposing 49 spaces, so a reduction of 2 spaces. We did send our notices out to surrounding property owners. We did not receive anything formal back in the form of a letter, but there were people that spoke at the Planning and Zoning Commission, which I anticipate they will be speaking tonight as well, in opposition. Staff does recommend approval. We feel it does conform with the future land use plan and stated goals described in Destination Colleyville, as well as it conforms with recent development trends along the boulevard. Planning and Zoning Commission did also recommend approval. They had 2 stipulations. One is that the drive-through screening along Pleasant Run be of both the masonry wall and shrubs, and then that that drive be moved to the south to align with the drive across the street. I think I spoke to that in that it really does not meet our standards for that. I think the intent on that was so that we can look at it to make a better determination of whether it would work or not. Not that they were really so much as a demand that it needs to be there. It was just so that we can take a look at it
Okay.
and make a decision. With that, I can answer any questions.
I have a question. On the mock-ups of the facade, were there any discussions about adding some stone elements or really kind of making it a little bit more distinctive? I mean,
That's just paint, is that correct?
No.
No,
it's brick, I think.
Masonry.
It's brick.
But it's painted brick, isn't it?
No.
This here?
Well, I don't know.
This-
I mean,
Oh, I thought
it's just
the
brick.
It's a
olive
colored
color.
brick.
I've never seen brick that color before.
Yeah, so it's not painted, so it'll be just a brown brick.
Oh, so that olive color is, I guess this looks more tan here. The other looked,
Yeah, so it's not
The
an
other's
olive.
much
the other
more
looked the
green.
color of
This-
your jacket.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a more of a brown.
Okay.
But especially around the entranceway, some
Yeah.
stone would be an accent.
Make it a little more distinctive and unique to really match Colleyville. I mean, the Enterprise building we saw today had some really nice masonry work and stonework, so that would be a request I would have. I mean, I'm excited about the Chick-fil-A coming in, but that would be my only request.
I think the drive-through precludes the east and the west, and the drive-through precludes the north. So really, the focus would be on the entrance, which would be the south
The
exposure.
south side, yeah.
So you could do corner elements and then either something around the door that would just,
Just some details,
yeah,
I think.
enrich the look.
That makes it stand out a
Yeah,
little bit more.
exactly.
Mhm.
Match our community a little bit more.
Maybe when they come up and speak, then we
Right.
can
I also think
them
the,
address it.
the wall for the drive-through and for basically for the headlights is an important element that was added to our code.
Is, you said?
It is an
yes,
important,
okay.
it was added to our code as a clarification for this exact purpose, for the high-volume drive-through user. And while the hedge line is definitely appreciated, I can see where that has value. The masonry wall was really intended to provide permanent screening from the headlights from the parking lot.
Yeah, that's my big concern. Before I read planning and zoning, I was not pleased with having just a hedge, even if it's evergreen, the light can pass through. And so I think we need a total block of the headlights.
The applicant is prepared to discuss that with you.
Okay.
I know there's some elevation changes that might help, but
Okay.
they are ready to talk about
Okay.
that.
No, it's
Fine.
actually right along the Pleasant Run side, so it'll be right along here.
And there's really no other place they can put the dumpsters other than in the parking lot. I understand that too.
Yeah, we
There's
actually
really
had
no
that
space.
conversation with the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. Yeah, we couldn't come up with a better situation for that either.
It is a tight spot, so
Right.
appreciate what they're trying to do.
Thank you, Ben, appreciate it. Can we have the Chick-fil-A people come up? Do you have some more questions?
Yeah, I had one just quick question, Ben. On the earlier design, you showed their property going out across Pleasant Run. Is that really the case? The early on, right there?
Go back.
Yeah, so this is not accurate. So the plat identified a right-of-way reservation, which has been accepted by the city when they relocated Pleasant Run. Pleasant Run used to run
I know that.
straight down, and so
I know.
with the original plat, there was a right-of-way reservation that would allow for the relocation or realignment of Pleasant Run. So when that actually happened, they
then they took
basically
it,
claimed
yeah.
that right-of-way.
So the that property in the middle is really not used, right? Who owns that? Does the city own that?
Where
It
are
is
you
now the
talking about,
public,
George?
Yeah.
Down
So the city is the steward now.
to
of
the
public
south.
right-of-way.
Go back to the
south of,
Yeah.
Which one are you talking
to
about?
the left,
The triangle to the left.
just beyond, all the
Oh,
way
right
to
here.
the left.
Yeah.
City
got
owns that.
There used to be a small building there. That's
Oh,
where they have
yeah.
the dirt piled now.
That is owned by the city.
Right.
And then the part that is within the blue boundary that really is Pleasant Run now,
Mhm.
that's the part that was identified as right-of-way reservation on the original plat
Okay.
when Applebee's
that's
was there.
So and they needed it
And that's been that's been
to
taken
have
by
a-
the city in
to have
order to
a more
realign.
parallel, perpendicular
That's right.
connection for Pleasant Run to 26.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what we see on these exhibits match
Understand.
the remainder after that right-of-way reservation was
Okay.
taken.
Go back to that picture one more time. And the property to the north, which is to the right, is also owned by the city. So the natural area in the parking lot,
Yeah.
where you see the 079, that's all owned by the city, all the way to the wraparound.
And the 077 and
Yes.
all down through there.
All that down there is owned by the city. So that's a natural area that has a drainage area through it, and that will be part of, that property will be maintained with its natural setting that's there now.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Welcome. If you'll give your name and address, and we appreciate you guys coming to Colleyville. Look forward to it.
Thank you. We're happy to be here. My name is Brian Berger. I'm with Berger Engineering, 17103 Preston Road, Dallas, Texas. Just to kind of address a couple items, I guess the primary item that we'd like to talk about is probably the screening there along Pleasant Run Road. The reason we're proposing the living screen is those 9 parking spaces that are immediately adjacent to Pleasant Run Road. Those spaces sit on average 2 feet below the street grade, and then we're actually 3.5 foot below on average of the finished floor for the residential area that's to the west of us. So with that grade difference, our preference, or what we'd like to do, is anywhere from a 3 foot to a 48-inch shrub row there. That would allow us to actually go higher than the 30-inch masonry wall. And then if you're looking just to the north of that, where the drive-through is and the building, we've got a larger landscape area there where we actually sit on average 5 feet down below the slab of that residential area to the west, or approximately 3 foot down below the street. So that would allow us to actually tier some living screen in there where we could do, a area of shrubs that are 3 to 4 foot adjacent to the right-of-way, and then have a second row of shrubs down at the parking lot, that's another 3 to 4 foot. So kind of double up our screening there. And so that's kind of what we're proposing. And the reasons why we're proposing it is because of the elevation difference.
So how did you plan on transitioning? On the larger area, you're terracing it, I get it.
Yep.
But on the parking lot, are you then doing a retaining wall?
Where the parking lot is, we'll have the city sidewalk from back of curb at 5 or 6 foot, and then it'll come down at a 3-to-1 slope down to that parking lot.
So that's not a retaining wall? That's
Not adjacent to the parking lot, no.
So you,
But
okay. And
The
so
lighting, I mean, is it gonna?
It'd be
well,
sloped.
He's just sloping it pretty,
It'll slope down 2 feet from the back of that sidewalk down to our top of curb.
yeah. And so,
What's that going to do with the lights?
Well-
Pointing up.
no, the lighting will be all in the parking lot, but I think what he's saying is that back of sidewalk is gonna slope down, and so you're gonna drive in it. So the question is, it probably isn't, well, from my perspective, not a bad idea to do a retaining wall and then capture and then put the plant material on top of it. You could even get the benefit. You have enough room with the overhang of the cars, don't you?
Well, with 5 feet, that's pretty tough to do, because a car's gonna overhang 2 feet, then you've got a retaining wall with any sort of backfill or
Right.
wrap back behind it, so then you really don't have enough room in there to plant your materials.
What if we let you plant the materials in the right of way? How much room is there to the sidewalk?
The sidewalk in some areas is actually right at the right-of-way line. It's very tight in there.
So we could let them put them in the right way?
Well, there's no, between the sidewalk and where there is right of way, you could put it on the right of way, but what he's saying is the sidewalk butts up against it. So we'd
Oh,
have
there
to
is
talk
no
about
space.
whether or not we want the wall or the plant material. We'd probably struggle to do both, is what he's saying.
Yeah, basically, I mean, the way I see it, when you pull into that parking space, your headlight level is basically right at the same elevation, let's say, as the right-of-way line. Because let's say that your headlights are 2 feet above the ground, so you're basically at that same elevation. So then if we do a living screen that's 3 foot or 4 foot, whatever that dimension is we determine, then you've got an extra 4 feet there to block those lights.
But what about the lights coming through that? You're still gonna
The
have
light-
lights come through that?
The lights still come through
I mean, it'd be a
a
solid,
shrub.
it'd still be a solid shrub. I mean, we've never had problems with that before, but I mean.
What kind of solid scrub?
We do either Yopon hollies or Nellie R. Stevens, something of that nature. It'd be relatively solid.
Now, those things die pretty easy, though, because I just replant, I've got the same thing, and I just replant them nonstop.
I've got them in my front yard, and I've lived in my house for 17 years.
Well, and nobody said I
Yeah.
had a green thumb, that's for sure.
No, and of course, that's what code enforcement, if they die, it's on our landscape plan, so we've got to replace them. So
How
that
deep are those
shouldn't be a
parking
problem.
spots there?
I'm sorry?
How deep are the parking spots? I can't read the.
They're 18 feet.
Yeah, it's very hard to read this plan for.
Yeah, it is.
They're
very-
18 feet.
If we could.
That's okay. Well, I think I can get us copies, clean copies too. Okay. We'll take a look at that, but.
Okay.
I think we do need to look.
Yeah, the current
vote on it
concern I
next
have
time.
are that houses are right straight across the street.
Go back to where the house is. Will you do that, Mark? Where it shows the house and where the parking spaces are?
Well, it doesn't show the house.
Well, it shows you the
Yeah,
parking
okay,
space.
Up there, yeah.
He's saying is that.
Here's the house right over here, the 9.5.
This is a slope. This is
And the parking spaces are how far down here?
only limited space in the.
I don't see where that is.
It's basically the green area that you see on there now, north of the driveway. Where that green area is where the parking space is.
Okay, the white car, you pass that, you pass the driveway, and then you're talking about the next area?
That is correct. You're
Yeah.
basically from the driveway north to where that parking.
Okay, so it doesn't shine into the 9.5 area.
You shine into the
The
555. Yeah.
Right,
And those are the elevations that I'm giving you based on their finished floor.
right there,
and our
okay.
parking. So it'd be average, like I said, average of 3.5 feet at the parking is how far down our pavement is from that finished floor elevation. And then we're about, at the lowest point, 5 feet on that northern area where the drive-through is.
So is there condos at the bottom there, in the very back there?
Is there what?
Okay, what is that under the 555, 404?
It's a condo.
I thought it was. Is it on the ground floor, condo on the ground floor?
Yeah.
Yes, on that one.
Yeah, those don't
I
have.
thought it was.
Commercial.
Because it's really hard to see that one.
You can see this is where we're
Oh,
talking about.
okay, yeah, that's,
And so
Yeah,
I would
it's just
argue
a
that you could put the wall there and still have enough landscaping on the right of way for most of it, not all of it, of
not
course.
when it comes down to this
You would
one.
lose it as you get close to the corner, but you've got the corner here,
Right.
you've got trees, and so you've got some things, but I just think again, we have to look at it more, but the wall issue is a very important issue for the exact reason we're talking about it here, and that is the headlights.
Sure.
And the relation to the homes, even if they are screened by vegetation, and I'm not saying you wouldn't try to do that, but the wall is permanent, and the landscaping is temporary and often fraught with issues, but that's a different.
Right, and,
Well,
you know,
I mean-
we all know by looking at Chick-fil-A's, they do a great job. We're not ever questioning that. You guys have beautiful, beautiful properties, but we are very concerned with our citizens and want to make sure that we take care of them and there's not a problem there. So do you think we can discuss that? And
Look at that. And if you're willing to let us put some of those shrubs out in the right of way in the areas that we're talking about, maybe we could come in there with an 8, because you've got the curb, so there's 6 inches already. Come in there with an 18-inch to 2-foot tall retaining wall rather than a masonry screen wall. And then
Yes.
we'll leave those shrubs up above and the
There
parking
may
down
be a
below.
compromise there, we do, a landscape wall instead of retaining wall.
And then just do the double rows of hedge screening
We can look at that.
where the drive-through is, okay?
I'd have-
Because we've got some more room there.
so can you guys get together
That's
and
what,
figure that out?
it just seems to me like if whatever it is, it's totally,
Impermeable.
permanent.
Sure.
So you can't see through it.
Right,
That's
my
what's
concern.
really important.
I'm more than happy to compromise on
And,
something
and
like
some of
that,
those,
sure.
some of the tall trucks around here, you've been here for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
People drive trucks that the lights are 6 feet
Well,
high.
my daughter has a boyfriend that you have to have a 12-foot ladder to get in the truck, so it would be right into it'd be over that wall,
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Well, and one good thing about those 9 spots is that's at the exit to the drive-through. So,
They're very
it
seldom
won't take very long for people to learn. If they park there, it's gonna be very difficult to get out because
Yeah.
people will be exiting that drive-through. So hopefully they'll either A, not be used that often, or B, be used by team members who are not really coming and going that often out
Yeah.
of those spaces. So,
okay.
Well, we appreciate you working with
Sure
us.
do.
my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Was that the only concern? Anybody have any other questions?
Public hearing.
No?
So there's going to be no fill as far as the area where the riprap is on the bottom there? That's going to remain?
That is
Like you
correct.
said, Jerry,
He's staying out of
the
that.
city owns those other properties anyway,
They're staying
right?
out of
Down
that.
at the bottom of the, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that riprap area will stay. And then as far as drainage goes, we're actually gonna increase the amount of landscaping, so we'll be reducing runoff.
Good.
You're actually adding trees and things out there too, which will create a beautiful profile from the
Great.
Colleyville Boulevard
Yeah,
approach.
that's great.
And we love trees, so that's awesome. Let me put that out there. So
Well, thank
any
you
of-
very much. No,
Thank
that's
you.
great.
Appreciate
Do you
it.
have any questions for us? or-
Great.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me open the public hearing. We have a couple cards. Dee McNowski. Hi, Dee, welcome.
My name is Dee McNosky. I live at 5108 Pleasant Run, and I'm hoping that I can give you guys some insight to that little spot of land that we're talking about. My husband and I have lived there for 42 years. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that there's issues with traffic. And also, if you notice that, if you can bring that elevation, that snapshot, the one with there you go. When it was allowed for Applebee's to build there, they were required to put shrubbery to shield from Applebee's to Pleasant Run. Do you see any shrubbery? It was there, it died, it was never replaced. So that's what happens, and we were all excited about, okay, it's gonna be a living barrier. We said, oh, that'd be great, I like living barrier, I like things green, but it didn't last.
Right.
And you know how hot it is in Texas, I don't care what they put there, something's gonna happen to some of it at some point in time, and that's just me saying that.
Yep.
The other thing that I'm concerned about is the drive-through process. We've built a beautiful highway, I was on the highway committee, and that is so that, that cars can move, and they are, and they're moving, and they're also stacking up. And that particular spot right there is where they stack up. I can no longer get to my house from work by using the highway. I have to go across Glade, in through the Walmart parking lot, and come out through the bank exit to get to my house right now,
Tell me
because the
again,
car.
Where do they
because-
stack up, where the white car is?
Yes.
This way.
I can come through the bank parking lot and come around to my driveway, which is right opposite where that white car is. So you're going to have a stack up right in front of, I love Chick-fil-A. I eat Chick-fil-A all the time.
Who doesn't?
But you're going to have a stack up in front this way. If you come around the corner, and I've done that a lot, because we come from Church and Grapevine, we go around that corner, that is a blind corner. When you get to the other one, the other exit from, that goes on to Pleasant Run from that parking lot, very, very difficult to see if you have any obstructions at all. But can you imagine now, you've got people stacked up this way, you got people, 27 cars, is that what he said? 27
that
cars
doesn't mean there will-
going around this way, they've got to go out one way or the other. They're either going to try and get out on that stack on Colleyville Boulevard, or they're going to try and go out where people are coming in from Colleyville Boulevard. And they're either going to try and go out that way, or they're going to try and go. Unfortunately, my concern is that eventually, if somebody's not hurt, Chick-fil-A is going to suffer. And I don't want a business that comes into Colleyville to suffer because of something like this, because we've set them up to fail. I really don't want that to happen. I would like to have a Chick-fil-A in Colleyville, but if they go here and we have either the problem stacking up where people get upset and don't want to go there, or we have a problem that we can't solve because Chick-fil-A is there, and by God, they're there, you know, and we're just all going to have to live with it. I would rather us come up with a solution that's going to be long-lived, that everyone can enjoy. And you know, when we have events here in this area, we bring in more people, and so now you've got another situation with the traffic flow. And I really do have a concern with the drive-through component of Chick-fil-A. We've had at least 3 restaurants that have been there, and we've loved eating at every one of them. We get to walk across the street. It's easy for us. But the drive-through component, that amount of traffic, and you know they're good, because the one down there at Precinct Line and what do they call it down at that end?
The newest one that's down there?
Yeah, 26 are there. The Precinct Line and 26, all the way down at the other end, they've now had to put a stoplight. Lowe's was there for many, 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 many years. They did not put a stoplight. Chick-fil-A moved over there, and with the traffic they generated, now they have a stoplight. And that is that moves very, very good. They have a good entrance in, they do their business, they have that same entrance out with a stoplight. It works. Don't think so. Questions? I mean, I live there. Is there
Well-
anything you can ask me?
We'll answer them after.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. We didn't put anything in writing because I wanted to hear firsthand what my husband heard at the planning and zoning. And my concerns were not mitigated by what I've just heard. So I will put some things in writing for you for the next hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, is that another one? Oh, yeah. Okay, Kathy Hadley?
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself. It will be nice to have Chick-fil-A. That'd be nice. I understand her concerns. Looking at that picture, I was so glad to hear the gentleman bring up and the city manager bring up about landscaping, putting in trees, because I can't believe that's Colleyville, and I see a couple of really dry-looking trees, and everything else is green. Get some trees in and some pretty landscaping. I think it'll be quite nice and fit back in with Colleyville, but we definitely need trees there. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak? Come on up. Did you have a card? Go right ahead. Name and address, please.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Evan Garcia, and I live at 616 U Daly Drive, Colleyville, Texas. I am opposed to the zoning change request based on the reasons that it is not consistent the recent developments in the Main Street Village District and that it will create an unhealthy concentration of vehicular traffic. The property located at 5232 Colleyville Boulevard is a perfect example of a recent development in the district that is also located adjacent to Highway 26 that adheres to the village's mission and intent to create a mixed-use walkable environment. Another recent development is 37 Village Lane. Although this property will be solely residential, it does fulfill the purpose of the district and its intent to create a more dense urban environment. Although the zoning change development plan does incorporate sidewalks, we all know that Chick-fil-A's are businesses primarily dependent on vehicular traffic. According to a 2019 study by Quick Service Restaurant Magazine, Chick-fil-A's have the longest average speed of service among the 10 largest drive-through oriented businesses in America. The study cites the main reason for the long service times is the business's high traffic volume. The traffic volume will prove detrimental to the aesthetic, design, and intent of the village district. I would like to reiterate what was said in the Planning and Zoning Commission work session meeting from a few weeks ago. Two different members of the city planning staff, when introducing the zoning change request, stated this is a tight site. Not 5 minutes later did the applicant himself say this is a tight site, and you did as well, ma'am. The applicant went on to state a couple minutes later, I've been doing Chick-fil-A's for over 20 years and it's getting worse and worse each year, implying that this business demands an increasingly extreme amount of vehicular traffic with each passing year. If approved, this tight site will create an unhealthy concentration of traffic that will bottleneck the Main Street intersection with 26 all the way to the intersection of Pleasant Run and 26. It is also extremely important to consider the potential detrimental effects this traffic could have on the surrounding residential properties on Pleasant Run Road and Terracotta Lane, as voiced by earlier. This zoning change is wholly unnecessary. There are other well-established Colleyville businesses that prove more suitable to the property as currently zoned. Bellissimo's and Reguri's are perfect examples. Both now are confined to strip malls and are much better suited to the standalone building like the one currently in place. There are other properties along Highway 26 corridor better suited to this drive-through oriented development, such as the vacant Wachovia Bank building adjacent to McDonald's in the Market Street Town Center. That property has been vacant much longer than this one, and its surrounding properties are much better suited to accommodate a drive-through oriented business than the one currently requesting this zoning change. Ladies and gentlemen, I am opposed to this zoning change because I believe that if approved, this zoning change will provide a significant negative impact on the vehicular flow of the Highway 26 corridor and prove to be wholly detrimental to the design, intent, and idea that encompasses the Main Street Village District. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Now, let's see, what do we have?
Between now and next meeting is obviously the retaining wall question, the landscaping on the right-of-way, and on the facade.
Right, oh yeah. Can I get you to come back up here, sir? So there were just a couple things that you're going to address before the next meeting, correct?
Yes.
And,
Stone facade.
right, the stone, the wall, the retaining wall, the stone on the front of the building, and there was a third one, wasn't there?
The third one had to do with,
No, I think that was all.
I think that was it.
That was
Mhm.
it.
I think so.
Now, let me ask you again, what are the most cars that you think would be stacked up there? Do we have any data that Chick-fil-A?
the third one was landscaping on the right-of-way.
Oh, landscaping.
Moving to the right away.
Landscaping, yeah.
And can I add on to your question, which is where also do you plan to have people stack up and turn in and out and all that?
Can we go back,
Type
Mark,
of-
to one of the?
Can we go back to the site plan?
Yeah, please.
Well, right now,
Wait,
so.
Can you go to the clear?
Or the
one?
next one, I
Easier to
think.
read.
Yeah, go to the one.
That
we
one.
can
That one, keep
read.
going.
Yeah, you can't go that one.
Because I know you said that there were 27 cars that could stack up in there.
So basically, from the pickup window on the west side of the building.
Hold on
all-
just a second.
That's okay.
He's going to let us get back to where we are.
That's the easiest.
Yeah, that one's easiest to
one's
look at.
clear,
From where the two trees are on the left there, and I'm assuming that is where the window, where the microphones are, is that correct?
That is
No.
correct, on the east side.
They're on the bottom side of the picture, right?
Yeah, down here at the bottom where those two
That's
trees.
the east side.
Yeah, you've got 2 trees there on the east side of the building that are actually on the building, and then there's 3 trees to the
At the
east of
bottom.
those down the creek.
Yeah,
That's correct. So
right there.
that's where the menu boards are.
Right.
The reason the site's laid out that way is so that the menu boards, where all the noise is going to be, is as far away from the residential area as possible.
Perfect.
So the pickup window is on the west side, towards Pleasant Run Road.
Okay,
So from that pickup window back around, when you get back onto the east side, it'll double up. There'll be 2 lanes there. And basically all the way back then to the entry drive, coming into that drive-through, you can fit, I'm gonna say 27 to 30 stalls. 27 stalls if they're all 20 feet long. It all
Okay.
depends on the length of the car.
sure. But if we get, if it gets super busy, then you've got them to where they go back through the back part of the parking lot where those parking spaces are, correct?
That is correct. What I see happening with the operator, and every operator kind of runs their sites the way that they want to, but if their drive-through is that busy, what I see is anyone who enters off of 26, if that drive-through is busy, there'll be a team member there directing them to go around the triangular island on the south side of the property, and then entering the drive-through from the south side, rather than turning in off of 26.
To the right there, they go back around that loop where the parking spaces are in the back.
That is correct. So if, during peak periods, if there is a backup in the drive-through lane, that's what I see happening.
And I think, I go to Chick-fil-A, I get my little junior ice cream cone with my Chick-fil-A sandwich quite a bit. And I can't remember the last time I've been in there that there wasn't somebody out in the parking lot directing people.
Correct.
Has that become a standard pretty much with Chick-fil-A?
As was stated earlier in the statement I made in the work session meeting, Chick-fil-A gets busier and busier every year. It's becoming more and more popular. We've gone to these, what we call this is an isolated drive-through, where the drive-through traffic is separated from the dine-in traffic. If you go to a lot of the older locations, you have to cross that drive-through lane to get into the store. So we've gotten away from that just because it has become so busy. But I won't say it's like the last 10 years or so, Chick-fil-A has been rated #1 with Quick Serve Magazine as far as how the speed of service and the way that the customers are worked through the property. So what I see happening here, where we have the 2 menu boards, there will be team members out there with the face-to-face ordering systems during peak periods where they're taking your order on an iPad, so you're not just doing it. There at the menu board, and then also at the pickup window now, we've got a mail order delivery canopy, so there will be team members out there actually bringing you your food in your car rather than you having to come all the way up to the window. So trying to increase that speed of service. So if there's someone at the window and their order's taking another 5 minutes and you're right behind them, your meal's ready, they can bring that meal back to you. You'll notice there's also a 10-foot escape lane adjacent to that drive-through lane so that you could then hop out of line and go around them to get out and keep that drive-through line moving during peak periods.
Because I do understand the concerns of the two people in the back, and we want to be conscious to that, and we want to make sure that that doesn't happen, because Chick-fil-A is a very popular, as you said, over the last 10 years, and it looks like you all have addressed those in your newer stores.
Yes.
But I understand their concerns also. Absolutely.
It is going to be busy, but for a quick serve restaurant of any of the ones out there that's going to move everybody through this property, Chick-fil-A would be the one to do it.
Thank you for that. Okay, did I address all the questions?
I believe so. And obviously, this is only a first reading,
Right.
so.
And this is a first reading, and we will take, the mayor will be back. He will give us his 2 cents worth that he always does. As a matter of fact, I know he's listening. Hi, Richard. So be prepared with the questions that you have, and he will address those concerns also.
All right,
Thank you very much. Okay, so this is a first reading, therefore no action will be taken. Okay, how we doing here, Mark? Are you winning the bet? Who's winning the bet?
No, it's almost
No.
9:30.
Yeah.
Everyone's
good.
lost.
Oh, they've lost?
Mark lost.
Y'all thought I
Mark
was
lost
gonna be
a
lot
half an
faster.
hour ago.
Yeah, half hour ago, I was out.
Okay, well, we're moving on here to 5D,
I have to give her a hard time.
and it's a first reading again. First reading and public hearing of ordinance 0-19-2103. Thank you very much for coming out. Amending the zoning ordinance and the official zoning map of the city of Colleyville, Texas by changing the zoning on a .2989 acres, being Lot 20, Block 1 of the Creekside at Colleyville Addition, located at 4708 Latour Lane, by authorizing a special use permit for a 6-foot iron fence on a retaining wall within the street side yard, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000, and providing an effective date. And Ben, you're on again.
Okay, thank you.
Very much.
This is a request for a special use permit for a fence to extend into the required street side yard, and this is at 4708 Latour Lane. Here's an aerial photo of the site. There is a house that has been constructed on this property, and they are requesting to put a fence on that south side. The current zoning is PUDR, so Planned Unit Development Residential. It is part of the Creekside neighborhood, which is developed with single-family residences. And it is designated for residential use, so it does conform to this designation. So here's a pictometry photo during construction time of the house. This photo does also show that there along that south side and the west side, there is a pretty substantial retaining wall. There's quite a bit of grade difference from the properties to the west and this development, this neighborhood. And so that is definitely a concern and a peculiarity associated with this property. So that street actually connects into the adjacent neighborhood, but it is an emergency exit only. So this fence that you see, this is from looking towards Creekside Development from the adjacent neighborhood. So that fence currently exists, and you can see it does extend pretty much right to the curb for the street. But again, emergency access only. It's not available for the residences to go through. What they are proposing is actually a 6-foot wrought iron fence to be placed on that retaining wall, which is closer than what is authorized under today's Land Development Code regulation.
It's closer, by how much?
Closer to the house.
So this is a little unique. In this neighborhood, the property line is a little bit closer to the street than typically what we would see. It's kind of hard to see this, but the property line is on the street side of the sidewalk, and then there's a pedestrian access easement, utility easement where the sidewalk is, and then that's where the retaining wall starts, and then goes to the rear property line and then north. And so I'd say it's about 5 feet from the property line, so 10 feet closer than allowed. This PUD ordinance allows for a 15-foot setback on that side. So it would be approximately a 10-foot setback, or yeah, a 10-foot encroachment into that required fit.
But there is a retaining wall already there.
Yes, there is.
They're all substantial.
So here's some better photos. This is provided by the applicant. So you can see, so this fence has been installed when they came in to, I guess, ratify this. That's when we identified that it does not meet the current regulation. But you can see the retaining wall is fairly substantial. It varies from 3 feet there close to the front, and it increases up to 6 feet in height there in the back. So there is definitely a safety concern if there has to be some type of barrier so that people walking on that sidewalk don't fall into.
Yeah, they're the same. There's different angles.
Right,
Yeah,
but
so it's
isn't there,
slightly
that shows a fence already there.
Yes.
What he
so
said, they already.
They have installed the fence. They came in to ratify that, basically take care of the paperwork for it.
Okay, I thought, is that a different house? All of a sudden I missed something.
But Ben,
I
if you
saw
did
it
not
there.
have the fence, it would require a rail of some type up there anyway with that height, wouldn't we?
I believe so. I know,
Our code requires, after a certain height, the rail is required.
so I don't think it's not in the Land Development Code, but I think it's part of the
Building code.
street code. When you have those types of drop-offs, there has to be some type of protection.
So in order to make it the way it's supposed to be, it would be inside of there and defeating the purpose, is what
Right.
you're saying.
It'd literally be like right here.
Yeah, it'd be inside the,
Yeah.
And then there'd be a rail on top of it, too.
And then there'd be a rail on
Plus
the
a-
wall, plus the fence, and so.
Yeah.
Right.
oh, that would kind of,
So the left, or no, I'm sorry, the right photo is actually the house across the street to the south. When that house was constructed, it was under the previous policy of allowing a non-solid fence to go on within that setback. So it will match that house as well, if approved.
is the applicant here?
The applicant is here, yes. So based on that, so anyway, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. So the current regulation says it shall not extend closer than the required setback, side yard setback. So in this case, it's that 15-foot setback, but it's approximately a 10-foot encroachment into the side yard. And so the special use permit provision is what allows for these types of requests for this situation.
Ben, was the wall constructed with the development and the house came later? Or
That's
was the-
correct.
Okay, I was wondering why that,
Yeah.
okay.
So
let me go
we
back
bear
to-
some, well, we bear all the responsibility for this.
Yeah, you can see.
So you can
it
see
right
it's on
there.
both sides, actually.
Right, so he did not build this, because I was going to ask him how that happened.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so this all was accommodated to provide the connection, but also, there's quite a bit of grade for this whole development,
see
and
that.
so it just,
No, I get that, but there
Yeah.
probably should have been a rail or a fence done as part of the development,
Sure,
Before he,
not necessarily waiting for the lot to develop.
exactly. Yeah.
I think that's a valid question. I think what they were anticipating is they would take care of it as each home is developed.
And just in the meantime, hope nobody fell off it?
right.
It defeats a little bit of the PDR.
One on top.
Is there also a fence on top of the wall to the back?
That's right.
There's
Yeah,
one
so
there.
That's this
That's what I
photo
thought I
right
saw.
there.
What?
Yeah, so it extends all the way north and all the way south. So that fence, other than the
No, look- no,
masonry
go back
column.
to
It's the
other
wood
pic.
fence, correct?
Other
Yes, the-
picture. I can't see anything from this picture.
No, go
To the
next.
back of the house, there's a wall there,
Right.
and there's a fence on top of it.
Not on that wall, but
Let's,
I think there is.
let's
think
have the
there is.
applicant up here.
Hey, yeah,
I
have
think
the
that way we'll,
applicants right there.
we'll answer a question. Come on up here, sir.
Oh, is that wood? Okay, maybe that is wood back there.
so, yeah, based on this, I thought that was the other wall.
The noise.
I don't want to interrupt you, though. I want you
No.
to finish your.
Well, I only have 2 more slides.
Oh,
Let
okay.
him finish those, and then
Yeah,
we'll
let him
have
finish,
you.
then I'll-
We sent our notices out as required and did not receive any responses back. Staff recommended denial based on not complying with the regulations found within the Land Development Code. But the Planning and Zoning Commission does recommend approval. I think their main concern was the safety for the site because of the retaining wall.
And why was it denied from the staff?
No,
Because-
it's,
Technical
Well, it's
Against the
not-
code.
You recommend, excuse
But
me.
Yeah.
this is one
Technical
exception where I think the staff would say, this is strange enough
We're
and
changing
unsafe
that.
enough that this is probably the one occurrence where it makes sense to have a process by which you could grant a variance and/or special
Yeah.
use.
Special use permit process is set up for these types of situations.
right.
Right. Yeah, looking back, it should have been done a whole different way, but it wasn't, so.
Yeah.
Sir, come right up,
Yeah, come
please,
on up.
and give us your name and address.
My name is Donald Miller, and I live at 4708 Latour Lane, the property at issue. You guys have sort of all hinted at the right thing. This was done, I think, under the assumption of the previous property. You've seen that neighboring, could you go back to the pictures that showed the 3 across? That way you can look at it. That one right there, yeah. So you'll see on the right, I think, it's my understanding the builder did this under the assumption that because the one on the right was acceptable, which is the one directly across from us, that it's okay just to do it again. I don't think they, it baffles me that they didn't think about it, and
We
that
see
I'm.
this all the time.
So I'm here picking up some pieces, trying to make sure this is okay and acceptable. And I have 2 young kids, and we definitely have people that love to walk up and down. While that is a closed road, they love to walk up and down it as if it's an exercise road. And they do it frequently. And so I would like to keep our fence that you'll see in the middle. And also, you can't tell, but I think you were asking, at the top of our retaining wall in the back, there's actually a space. There's it's probably like 5 yards deep. There is a fence along that wall as well.
That's what I thought.
In addition to the wooden fence back behind it.
Right.
Can you go back to that picture, Mark, real quick? The one that George, you were referring to earlier?
Yeah, so this is the incompleted one. Keep going. Yeah, that one,
Right,
right?
that
So at the
one right
top of
there
that
is
retaining
very
wall with
clear.
our staircase, you can
Yeah.
see, there is not only a railing walking up that staircase, but there is a fence all along the upper portion of that.
So do you have a gate up there to
Yes,
go
we have a
back?
gate at the bottom, actually.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so,
okay.
that's really important to us, but,
Sure.
but yeah, so this is just a situation of, and I know it's frowned upon to ask forgiveness before you ask for permission, but I'm doing that on behalf of somebody else and for the benefit of myself. And so that's why I'm here, and we want to keep our fence and not have to move it inside our line and add a railing on top of that. So I appreciate your time. If you have questions, I'll answer them if you have any others.
No,
No,
it just,
I think we're good.
it just
It's pretty
appears,
straightforward.
yeah.
This is the reason.
Yeah, this is a
You-
first
you didn't
reading,
do it.
and,
The
uh,
best of a
understand.
bad solution.
let me-
Yeah, right, yeah. And that's why the SUP exists, I think.
Just a personal note, when we don't consider this variance, we consider it a special use, but that's a separate conversation. But when people say they never provide variances on new construction, because in theory you shouldn't, this is an example of why variances should exist, because there are things that are so unique that but for the variance and/or special use, there would be no mechanism to address this. So,
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very
you.
much.
I don't vote, so thank you.
See you guys in a few weeks.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Well, let's see here. Where are we? Okay, does anybody have any questions? Any of the council have any
No.
questions? It's
I mean, they need it for safety and, and,
for numerous reasons.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Safety for
it would take away their use of
And otherwise.
it's part of their land.
I'm wondering how, well, I'll ask him next time.
Oh, you can ask me. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just wondering how, I saw the stairs back there. How many feet is that from
You know, I
ground
thought
to
it was
top?
closer to like an 8-foot
Yeah,
wall.
I
but
bet it
I was
is.
a little over that actually, because it's I'm a 5'10", and it's like 2-3 feet above my head.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's,
It's a substantial drop off from the back there.
okay.
Is there drainage in the back? Is there like a storm sewer collection in the back of your yard, or? does
No,
it-
it's coming
we-
down,
We
right?
had to put in some French drains in our yard to make
Bet
sure
you
because
did. That's
it's
like a
the
big
grade
swimming
isn't-
pool back there.
It isn't as bad as you would think, but we definitely had to put them in to make sure we didn't have.
It
to
does
like
go back,
there.
yeah, because it goes back from your front down.
Yeah, yeah.
And
you
then
gotta
the
make-
wall
you gotta be
is-
careful.
Is
So it
higher
doesn't-
there.
So thankfully, it doesn't really seem to cascade over. You know, they've done a good job up there with that stuff, and the design of the land above us seems to be well done. So it doesn't typically have a huge problem, but our yard itself has to have some,
You can tell it's not, it's sloping the wrong way.
yeah, sometimes it's.
I shouldn't say.
No, it's frustrating. I
That's
get
what it is.
I bet it
Yeah.
is.
So you have the French drains in there and that's helped?
That's what we had to do to make sure and the yard's great now. It's no
Good.
problem, so.
Good.
That's the win of that situation.
Sure.
Well,
And I
thank
managed to
you
get
very
the
much.
builder to pay for those, which.
Wish you luck on that.
I bet.
They did already.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did that.
Great. Yeah.
You're Mr. Miller, is that
Right.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Trying to make sure, because we had your cards.
Oh, yeah, yes, just, that's what I was.
Okay, so, let's
Thank
see.
you
You all
again.
have no more questions or comments up here?
No.
And I'm going to open the public hearing.
No, I had the card.
You
That was
you
it?
had the
Yes.
public hearing.
Well, I guess
you
I'll
did.
close the public hearing.
There you
go. So they don't have anything further. This is a first reading, therefore no action will be taken. Thank you. We'll see you next time, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate all of your time.
Sure.
bet.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving right along here. I think I did pretty good here tonight.
I think you're doing a pretty good job.
Moving along fast. Okay, we've got number 6 is citizens' comments. Do we have any?
Yes, Ms. Hadley.
Well, yes, we do. Miss Kathy Hadley?
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself. Y'all, you've done a wonderful job. Y'all, this went very well. Did a good job. You're hired. Okay.
At least we're not fired.
That's true.
I'm gonna be little critical of I love the roundabouts. And the people of Colleyville know how to use them correctly. It's people who are going from east to west, just passing through Colleyville or north to south, just using it as a pass-through. They just go flying through and they just get the speed up and the whole line of cars will come through. And people who are waiting their turn to go in have to just kind of like sit there and wait. And the lines build up because of the ones who are just hurrying, passing through. And so I don't know. I get on, whenever I'm driving around this and I'm one of the cars that's in a long line, it's my turn, I get in there and I just go real slow, right in front of the line that's going in 90 miles an hour. You just wait for a while. But I thought maybe a sign, I'm sorry, a sign that says, go slow or something. I know it says like 10 miles an hour, but people are not following that. So I don't know what we can do, but I don't know if having a cop sitting out there might help. I don't know. The other thing is, it's that time of year. And I've said this before, be so nice. Colleyville is so wonderful, and I just really love what y'all have done to keep Colleyville beautiful. And I've brought up before that it'd be so nice along 26. I know with all the construction, but I think we can still do it. Line 26 with some lights, white lights. And then maybe even across some of the intersections, go across it too. So as you're driving through, you've got all these beautiful lights. Anyway, it's my idea. I think it'd be great. And then also with the medians, are y'all including a power source in the median so that we are able to do decorations in the medians that can light up and stuff? And the other thing is too, maybe doing some bird baths. They can be bolted down or whatever in case somebody decides to want to steal them. But some bird baths, to add with the trees and the vegetation to just add some beauty to Colleyville. And thank you for placing the line direction signs on Gladen 26, showing where your lane is supposed to go. I really appreciate that. It'd be nice if TxDOT would do it at each of the major intersections on 26. It could still use it, but I really appreciate y'all taking care of it there on Glade. Thank you so much for all y'all do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we can have a roundabout class to teach people how to drive roundabouts. What'd you say, Adria?
We were just talking about that today in traffic advisory.
Right, you were?
101?
Because truly, some people know how to use them and some people don't. I don't know. It just, they've never had them where they were at before, but it's very interesting to watch because I watch it all the time.
Well,
You wonder,
You're forcing aggressive drivers and more, tempered drivers into the
Together.
same
Oh, yeah.
environment, and they have different paces, and you're right, it creates discomfort.
it does, but thank you very much, Kathy. Okay, so we're moving into reports. We have no reports?
No, just from the planning and zoning.
Right, well, Planning and Zoning Commission, September 10th, 2018, Planning and Zoning Commission work session, September 24th, 2018, Planning and Zoning Commission, September 24th, 2018, and Planning and Zoning Commission, October 8th, 2018. Is there any discussion on these, council? No? We're ready to go home? Let's see.
Have these are a year old, right?
Yes,
Has there been a backup, Jerry?
Meetings since
Getting
then.
these done?
I don't know why these are coming now.
Are you sure they're not 19 and somebody put in
No,
18?
they're definitely 2018.
They are 2018 minutes. Yes, there was a backlog in community development. The city secretary's office is helping catch up on minutes. We started back in catching up from 2017. If you've, these have all been coming forward over the last 4 months. We've done 2017, 18, and we're staying up to date with 19. So this is all catch up.
There you go. That gives you,
Thank you.
that
That's
gives
what
you
I
the
thought it
answer.
was, But I just want to confirm that, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for filling us in on that, Christine. Okay, that moves us along to number 8, and ending resolution is not needed. So with that, we go to number 9, which, if there is no objection, I will adjourn the meeting at, what time is it?
9:46.
9:46 p.m.
Great job.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gavel us out.
Come on back now, you hear?
There we go.
Boom.
Good job, Tammy.
Nice work. Nice job.